In this section, what we're going to do is show you how to add classes to some of the wrapper elements on your page for easier styling. Adding those classes to, say, the body tag or the node wrapper can make it a lot easier to select certain aspects of a page based on certain conditions in your CSS. Before we do that, let's go ahead and do a little cleanup. I'm going to go ahead and delete all of the templates in my template directory. I'm just going to, on the Mac, it's moving it to the trash. And then I uninstalled the theme developer module on my site because that adds a lot of extra markup to the code. And so by disabling it, we can take a look at what the code looks like to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and flush all of the caches to rebuild the theme registry because we have a lot of missing templates now. Okay, now I'm going to go to a node page so we have some of the various div wrappers. And I'm just clicking on the topmost one on my home page. And then I'm going to view the source code for this page. Okay, I'm going to do a search for body, and this will take me to the body tag down here. Now, you see here that this has a number of classes, and a lot of them have to do with specific conditions for this page. For example, this is not the front page. The current user is logged in. There's one sidebar. And the sidebar first is the sidebar that's being displayed. This is a node page, and if we scroll down a little bit, we see that we have page node and page node 68, which are more specific to this particular page, the page paths, and then node type article. Based on this, we can easily change the styling of a certain aspect of the page simply by using nested selectors in our CSS. We can hide something, we can set it to display smaller or larger or change the background color based on these various conditions. So this can be very useful to us. Let's go ahead and take a look at the node wrapper. I'm going to do a search for node. And we'll jump down to where we have the wrapper. Okay. Here we go. It's right inside of our div class equals content. It's got an ID of node 68. So already we have some useful information that we can use as a selector. We have node, node article, so the type, node promoted, this is a promoted article. This is the full article and not a teaser. And in certain themes, we may also have some page classes, although Bartik doesn't supply this, but we'll show you how to add a set of classes, just like the ones that are supplied by default for node and for our body tags, and add that into our page wrapper as well. Now let's go ahead and take a look at what this looks like inside of a template file when those classes are rendered. I'm going to jump to our Drupal site directory, and I'm going to scroll to the Bartik theme. We're going to go ahead and expand it and look at one of the templates in here, since these are the ones that are being used as we're using a sub-theme. I'm going to go ahead and open up node.tpl.php. Okay, and I'm going to scroll down, and you see here in our wrapper div, we have node dash and then the node ID, which we saw as the ID. And then in class, it says print classes. And you'll see the same code used at the html.tpl.php level. And then in just a moment, we'll add it to our page.tpl.php file as well in order to add classes at that level as well. If we want to add classes to this variable, it's pretty simple. Go ahead and jump to your resource pack directory and open up the 6-step template.php adding classes. Go ahead and copy the entire code, and let's go ahead and paste this over the code that's currently in the template.php file and save it. Now this is overriding a set of changes that we've made in previous examples, so if you need to save those, make sure to save those separately. And what we're doing is showing how we're adding classes to the HTML level with preprocess HTML, the node level with preprocess node, and then the page level with preprocess page. Now you see that this is a simple preprocessing function. We've covered these in the past. And the variable that we are going to be working with is called classes array, and this is an array that we can add to by using empty brackets at the end. And we simply add the class that we would like to add to our page. So if we save this and we jump back to our browser and clear the caches in order to make sure that our preprocess functions are registered. And then we look at the source code and we search for the classes. So I'm going to jump back to the editor and copy this class name. HTML class is the one that we would expect in the body tag. I'm going to do a find and a search for HTML class. And here we see it now in our body tag in the classes at the end there. Okay, I'm going to jump back to the editor. Now let's look for node class, which is the one that should be added to our node wrapper. I'm going to copy it, jump back to the browser, do a search for node class, and you see that it's highlighted here in our node wrapper div. Now if we do a search for page, I'm going to jump back to the editor and copy page class, which is the class that should be added at the page level. And we do a search for this, we see that it doesn't show up. So if we wanted to add this in, we would simply need to add that PHP print classes inside of our page template file. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to jump to the theme directory, and I'm going to copy the page.tpl.php file here from Bartik and move it into the template folder in our subtheme. We've done this before. This is how we override the template file. I'm going to paste it in here. Now I'm going to open this up. And in our wrapper here, at the very top, we can go ahead and output our classes. A simple way to do this will be to copy the print statement from our node.tpl.php file, which we may still have open, and just copy the print classes here. Class equals, and then we'll just copy to the end of the PHP tag, and then let's go ahead and paste it into our page.tpl.php file, making sure that the spacing is right, and then adding that ending quote. So it now reads div id equals page, class equals PHP print classes, and then end tag. Okay, make sure this is saved, jump back to the browser, and let's go ahead and close out the source code and flush all the caches in order to rebuild our theme registry and get our page.tpl.php file registered. And now let's look at the source code again and look for our page class. And jump back to template.php and copy our class, page class, and do a search. And we now see it here in our page wrapper, div id equals page, class equals page, page class. So we see there was actually a class that was added to this variable before we came around and added page class to it. So this now will give us the ability to pinpoint certain classes at the page wrapper level as well.